I want you to build your dream tech career. But what is your dream? What is your dream tech career? In this podcast, I'm going to give you 7 questions to ask yourself so you can define your dream career, not somebody else's. And I'm going to ask you these questions that are going to help you determine what your real dream is and not the dream where you feel like you're settling. So stay tuned. Hello there, folks. I am Jen Bunk. I am a career coach for tech leaders and CEO at The People Stack. And at The People Stack, we help tech leaders to build your dream careers. And we talk about dream careers a lot. We talk about the process, what's required mindset-wise, strategy-wise to build your dream career. It's been a bit, though, since I've talked about what is your dream. That's step 1. So for those of you who have worked with us in any capacity, whether it's one-on-ones or in our group coaching program, People Stack Accelerator, step 1 is clarity. You have to gain clarity in order to then move forward and take the other actions that are necessary in order to build your dream. So many people skip this step and just you just kind of go into neutral. And it's just like, oh, well, I guess my dream is that. Or you just assume your dream must be that. Or maybe you do have a sense of what you want, but it's like, oh, am I settling? Like a lot of people, we just got a client asked us a question the other day, basically about, feeling financially safe versus going after the dream. And I'm like, well, why not have both? Like financial safety is part of the dream. Actually, what I would say is financial abundance, financial prosperity, financial thriving might be part of your dream. So what I want to share today on this podcast are 7 questions that you can ask yourself to define what your dream tech career is. And I encourage you to do this on your own first before you talk about it with anyone else, even your wife or your husband or your other loved ones or your friends. Like really take the time, and it may take a few days, it may take a few weeks even, for you to really go through all 7 of these questions and answer them for yourself. What is your true yes? Your true yes is what we're looking for, no one else's. And then beyond that, is this tingly? Is this yes? Is this a delightful hell yes? Or is this settling? Or could it be more? Always lean into the more, into what if I can have more than that? So with all of that preface being said, here's question number 1 to ask yourself to define your dream career. So I encourage you, write these questions down, use them as journal prompts, take them on a walk with you, right? So take your cell phone, mine's actually not right next to me. Take your cell phone and just do one of these questions at a time. Take your cell phone on a walk with you and just talk. Just talk out the response. Pretend you're on the phone with someone, doesn't matter. Or you can do this journaling or both. But really take the time to do it. Don't just be like, oh, well, okay, what valuable outcomes am I devoted to creating? All right, well, I kind of already know the answer to that. What are the valuable outcomes? More profit, more people. Okay, great. What's number 2? Right? No. No. Rewind. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not claim your dream career. Go back and really answer these. And so what I'm talking about here is if you were doing this in a voice memo, each of these questions is a good 5-minute response. Each of these questions is it could be a couple of paragraphs of response. That's the level of depth and clarity in getting into this. I'm not saying that it needs to be hard and then I want this to feel like work. Actually, the opposite. I want you to have fun with this. I have so much fun with it that you're going deep with it. You're really answering these questions. That being said, if you're feeling stuck on any of the questions, and if you're just like, oh man, I can't really answer this one right now, I'm just not in a place to answer it, but number 4 is really singing to me, but I haven't answered one or two, yeah, that's fine. You don't have to do them in any particular order. Answer them as the mood strikes, as your intuition strikes, as you're called to answer them. All right. Now, with all of that being said as preface, question number 1. What valuable outcomes am I devoted to creating? What valuable outcomes am I devoted to creating? You'll notice that the first 3-ish questions don't seem like they're directly related to creating your dream career, but they are. And it's just that most people skip them and they don't think that they're important, and they are. They are because they get to your identity. Who do I want to be as I create my dream career? In my dream career, who am I being? And they also get to the experience. What is the experience I want to have as I create and live my dream? Identity and experience are just so important. They're central. They're what's with us. They are what is with us on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment, and that's where we live in the moment. Who am I being and what is the experience? So define that. Make sure you define that as part of your dream career. We will get to the more obvious things like salary, work environment, industry, kind of job, what your boss is like, all of that. That's important. We're going to get there. I promise. I got you covered. But these questions that may seem a little bit counterintuitive to you, they are related to your dream. And the fact that you haven't asked them yet is the reason why you haven't created it yet. Because you've not yet defined who am I being and what's the experience do I want to have. Okay, so what valuable outcomes am I devoted to creating? So the reason that this is important is because living your dream is about value. You're receiving value, you're creating value. It's this awesome value spiral, abundance spiral, prosperity spiral. So when you're living your dream, yes, you are receiving the abundance and the prosperity and the value. Yes, absolutely, that's living your dream. What's like the other side of that spiral? That's the creation of value, the creation of abundance, the creation of prosperity. So what is the value that you're devoted to creating? What outcomes? And get as specific as you can here in terms of work-related outcomes, team-related outcomes, organizational-related outcomes. So these are things like, yes, increased profits, increased revenue, increased presence in the market, increased number of recognition for the company that you work for. For a lot of our clients, they want to work for a top 1, top 5, maybe it's the Fortune 50 company or a Fortune 10 company, maybe that's part of what your mission is, and to keep them there, right? To turn the number 3 in the industry into the number 2 in the industry. For some people more, it's about the team, right? So team outcomes. So if team outcomes resonate with you, again, this is all about what resonates with you. What are the outcomes you want to create, right? So some people aren't about the money, and that's cool, right? Then what is it about for you? Is it about creating teams that stick and that gel and that are just a fabulous team culture? And so there you can look at outcomes like retention, like how long people stay and how many people are hiring. And you can look at, performance reviews and who's getting raises and promotions and that kind of thing. And you could also look at other kinds of performance-related outcomes as well. How do you measure team performance? These are all questions that are part of this. And gosh, I could do a whole course, and we do in People Stack Accelerator for those of us who work with us in our group program. But it's really about, for you, defining 3 to 5 outcomes, work-related, organizational-related, and or team-related outcomes that I am devoted to creating. That's important because then you're connected to that abundance prosperity spiral, that this is how I am going to create my dream career, by creating this value. So question number 2, what are my top 3 values as a leader? So you can probably see where I'm going with this one now. This is directly getting to who am I being? As I create this value and create this abundance and create my dream and live my dream, who am I being But one of the more direct ways of asking that question to yourself are, what are my top 3 values as a leader? Again, you might want to be writing these questions down in a journal, in Slack, wherever you want to capture these. Again, question 1 was, what valuable outcomes am I devoted to creating? And question 2 is, what are my top 3 values as a leader? There's no right or wrong answers here. What might your values be? What are some examples, just so that you can catch what I'm pitching? Transparency. Team culture can be a value, right? There's no right or wrong. Is team culture technically a value? Well, what kind of team culture? Creating a cohesive team culture, right? So cohesion might be a value. Work-life balance for a lot of you is a value. Integrity, strength, courage, vulnerability. All of these are values. What are your values, particularly as a leader? And remember, leadership is everywhere. You don't need to have manager or director or VP or chief something officer in your job title in order to be a leader. Leaders are the ones who raise their hand and say, pick me, I'm in. Put me in, coach. Those are leaders. And so as you're taking those actions and creating those outcomes and creating your dream and living your dream, what are the values that you're living on a day-to-day basis? Define them. And I would encourage you to at least define your top 3 values. For many of you, you're going to have more than that too, and that's great. That's great. For me, the values that I'm currently playing with are love, light, joy, prosperity. And then I'm also playing with the idea of easy and effortless luxury. Luxury as a value. So look, there's no right or wrong here. It's what is like, ooh, what's that inner yes, that whole body yes to you. And you know the difference between that whole body yes and that, I don't know. Don't settle for the, I don't know, or whatever. Like when you say a value like luxury, your body is just like, yeah, came on. And now the caveat here is that if you are in a state of stress, if you are in a constant state of stress, we're all in a state of stress sometimes, right? But if you are burnt out, if you are experiencing extreme anxiety, if you are working through some extreme trauma, you may not be able to feel that whole body yes. Work on shifting the anxiety, the overwhelm, the exhaustion, whatever it is. Work on shifting that first. Hire whatever expert or experts you need to in order to do that. And then you will be able to feel the whole body yes. So for some of you, there's a step 0 here. Like foundational work is taking care of you, taking care of your body, taking care of your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear. All right, question number 3, what is my zone of genius? It's another way of asking, who do you want to be on the way towards and while you're living your dream? What is my zone of genius? Define what it is for you. Again, no right or wrong answers. You can approach this from thinking like, is there a particular industry or sub-industry? Niche down is what I'm saying here. Your specific zone of genius. So some of you may be like, yeah, my zone of genius is tech. Okay, great. And you're going to need to be more specific. That's way too general. Unless you were going to try to prove to me that you were the best in tech in the world, even then, it's like that would be hard to prove because what kind of tech, right? What industry, with what kind of people? So really niche down here. So you can do that by thinking about industry, right? So what sub-industry, what sub-category of tech is your zone of genius? Maybe it's data analytics, maybe it's security, maybe it's software, maybe it's hardware. But even then within there, maybe it's with like IT support, maybe it's consulting, maybe it's building websites, right? Like get as specific as you can. Like maybe it's some esoteric thing within one of those areas, like security or the quantitative aspects of things, the data analytics side of things, or the software engineering side of things, like some esoteric thing that only like a few hundred of you around the world know about. Okay, great, that's your zone of genius. You could also approach this from your outside of tech, like the skills that you're just so good at. Like, we know what we're not good at, but we also know what we're good at too. You know, I am excellent at turning chaos into order in almost all of the ways. So yes, in some ways that means like I'm excellent at organizing. So I'm excellent at organizing things, physical things. I'm also an expert at organizing thoughts, particularly the esoteric, messy, what does this even mean kinds of thoughts, and putting them into an organized, cohesive narrative or what have you. I'm also really great at adding order to the chaos of emotions as well, whether it's in my own life or helping others to do the same. So you can niche down, but that particular zone of genius can be applied in lots of different areas, for example. So define for yourself, what is my zone of genius? Just to give you another example, like Rob, my husband, my co-CEO, who's my co-coach here at the People Stack, his zone of genius is actually, not surprisingly, kind of the opposite of mine. It's more around adding chaos to the order, but in a way where it's like, all right, you guys are like in a really, really, really shitty, messy situation here, and I love that, and I'm going to embrace that, and I'm going to turn all of that chaos, all of that Wild West style chaos that might be present in your team, and I'm going to turn it into this well-oiled machine. So his perspective is more around, I'm going to play with the chaos, and my perspective is more, I'm going to shift the chaos to order. So anyway, it's just two ways of looking at how you might define what your zone of genius is. Your zone of genius, for a lot of people, your zone of genius might be people leadership. So some of you are thinking that, yeah, my zone of leadership is actually not in the tech, it's more in the people leadership aspect of things. Okay, great, but niche down even more from there. Is your zone of genius in like inspiring people and inspiring groups of people to make massive change, right? Or is it, that could be a really cool one, or is it my zone of genius is in guiding, mentoring individuals one-on-one to be the change that they want to see in the world? Like there's all different ways of looking at what your zone of genius might be, but it might also be my zone of genius is in the tech. Okay, what specific tech and what specific ways? And think about the times that people were like, how did you just do that? Was that magic? And you're like, that's just my job. That's what I do. That's your zone of genius. It can be so easy to miss because it's so easy for us to do. Your zone of genius is really easy for you to do. And you may even judge other people for not being able to do it because it's so easy for you. That's your zone of genius. Question number 4, what work environment affords delight for me? What work environment affords delight for me? I love this concept of affording. The best way that I can describe what affording means, this is a term from the human factors world. You have all experienced this when you have tried to push on a door that affords pulling, even though it says pull or push, or the other way. I'm even getting confused talking about it. So have you ever walked up to a door and it has one of those handles on it that looks like you're supposed to pull it? It's clearly a pull door. It affords pulling. Even though there's a big sign that says push, you go and you go, Why isn't this working? So that's what affording means. It's designed in such a way that it's just natural to want to do that thing. So what work environment affords delight for me? I don't even need to think about it. I just walk into that environment, I'm in that environment, and it's just automatically delightful. So this is where I want you to define the kinds of people that you want to work with. Who's your boss? Who's your team? What are they like? What are their, I'm not necessarily talking about demographics here, like their age, their gender identification, or that kinds of things, or the color of their skin. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm talking about psychographics. Who are they? What are their psychological attributes? What are their personalities? But more than that, though, like, what are their values? How do they act? How do they make decisions on a day-to-day basis? Industry. What industry affords delight for me? So for some of you, it's e-com, and for some of you, it's like, ick, no, stay away from e-com. I don't want that. Cool. You do you. What culture? What kind of culture? A competitive culture or a collaborative culture, for example. Which one can you walk into and it's just like, this is delightful for you? Again, no right or wrong. What about the benefits? What about the perks? We're going to get to salary in a second. That's a separate question, right? So stick a pin in that one. But like the benefits and the perks, what does vacation time look like? What does the health insurance benefits look like? What other kind of benefits are there? What other kind of perks are there? Is there a lot of work from home or is there not? Like for some of you, you love the idea of working from home and that's what affords delight for you. But for others of you, you want to be able to go to an office and have that kind of environment. Again, no right or wrong here. All of these opportunities are available right now. All of them are. Pick first. And then you are attracting that opportunity to you. You're not just going on LinkedIn and being like, well, I guess this is what's available. No, you're not letting LinkedIn decide what your dream is. Cut it out. You define what your dream is. So what work environment affords delight for you? That's question 4. Question 5, what salary gives me goosebumps? What salary gets you out of bed in the morning? I once wrote a blog, it was either a blog post or it might have been a podcast or both, of like a 15% raise, not getting me out of bed. Nope. But what about a 30%? What about a 40%? What about a 50% raise? Because for some of you, a 10, 15, even a 20% raise is like meh. But once you start getting to 30 or 40 or a 50% raise, it's like, oh yeah, that's goosebumps. That's goosebump territory right there. That's exciting and scary at the same time. That's the response I want. It's a little bit scary, just a little bit. Not debilitatingly scary, not like, oh hell no, no way, right? It's for you right now. And by the way, can you get to a place, and this is what a lot of what we've helped our clients with, where right now, what feels like, oh my God, no way, where even in a matter of months, you're like, oh my God, that's totally doable, I'm going for it, right? So we've had clients who were like, yeah, 10% raise, maybe 15%. I'm like, okay, cool. And then we start working with them, and we suggest the idea of, you're totally worth 30 to 40% more. I'm like, oh, gosh, no, I just not ready for that yet. Okay, cool. Not going to push or pressure you, but what I want you to know is that if you wanted to earn that, you can. Okay, great. And then work with them for weeks and sometimes months. And then they're like, you know what? I'm going after that 40% raise. Because it's a shift in identity. It's a shift in mindset. And this is at the core of what we do. At the core of this question, though, is for you right now, what salary gives you goosebumps? I want you to meet yourself where you're at. Right now, what salary gives you goosebumps? It's a little bit scary. I want you to define the number. Define the number for you. And it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe it's 200K. But for some of you, maybe it's 150K because you're just starting in your career. For some of you, maybe it's 6 figures. For others of you, 200K, I've already done that. And that's only 10% over what I'm earning right now. So then it's more like 250, 300. And for others of you, and I encourage you to keep going. One of the things that I often say, especially to clients who I know are ready to receive it. So if you're ready to receive it, I want you to drink this up and really feel the tingles. If it doesn't resonate, you can just leave it. Here's actually what I encourage you to do. Play with this. Come up with a number. So what you might actually want to do right now is come up with a number and write it down. I'll give you 5 seconds. What's your hell yes tingle-worthy salary? Write it down right now. Okay, you got that number? You looking at the number? You got the tingles? Okay, great. Now double it. And notice your response. Because if your response is yeah, wow, woo, yeah, but whoa, that's it. That's the number then. I know it's possible, but ooh, man, that's a lot. Yeah. It's like pushing the comfort zone. It's the same thing as if you were doing squats and your coach was like, okay, give me 10 of them. All right, I'm doing 10 squats. This is great. Oh, this is awesome. Awesome, great. Okay, you good? Do 10 more. And you're like, all right, okay, I can do 10 more. Can you do 10 more? Nope, I got about 2. Go for it, 2 more. 1, 2, you got it. You're defining the edge of your comfort zone here. So that's why you're doubling it. Because for many of you, you have not played with your comfort zone in this way before. You just think 200K or 250K or 6 figures or whatever it is. That's what's pre-programmed. I'm here to break that programming. So play with it. What really is the edge of your comfort zone here? That's what we want, because that's what's going to get you out of bed, my friends. Some of you are wondering why you haven't made more money. It's because your goals aren't big enough, right? Put that one in a pipe and smoke it. I know that it's counterintuitive. But the reason that you haven't gotten to your dreams is that they're actually not big enough. In other words, they are not tingly. They are not enticing enough. You're not motivated. 10%, 15%, that's not going to get me out of bed in the morning. Doubling my salary, though? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my God. And what I'm going to remind you is if you shoot for the moon and you miss, where do you end up? Still end up among the stars. So remember that. All right. Speaking of tingles and goosebumps, what lifestyle fills me with delight and goosebumps? That's number 6. What lifestyle fills me with delight and goosebumps? What is all of this for? Yes, it's so that you can create amazing value and have in love every day of your job. Yes, absolutely. It's so that you can create more financial prosperity for yourself. Yes, and this is all for nothing if you're not then using that money and using that time and using that energy to create the lifestyle that you want. So here's where I want you to have fun with painting the dream outside of work. You've painted the dream within work. Who do I work with? What's the industry? What's the culture? What are the benefits? What are the perks? What's my boss like? How much am I making? All of that. You've done that in questions 4 and 5. Now in question 6, I want you to get specific about what is your dream life outside of work? What lifestyle fills you with delight and goosebumps? So lifestyle, where do you live? What kind of house? What's the view? Is it mountains? Is it oceans? Is it rivers? Is it some combination of all of them? Is it in the big city? Is it rural? Is it suburban? Where are you living? What is your house? How many bedrooms? Who's living with you? How big is the bathtub? How many dishwashers do you have? Yes, you can have more than one. Just blew your mind right there, didn't I? How many bedrooms do I have? And then what am I going to do with them? How big is the kitchen? How many people can comfortably cook in the kitchen at the same time, right? And then what else is happening in your life? What trips are you going on? And who's going with you? Where are you going? Are you flying first class? What charities are you giving to? And how big is the smile on the face when you give them that $100,000 check? Really get to oh my God, this is my dream and I'm living it territory. Go big. The same way that you did with this, with the number, like write some stuff down first and then quote unquote double it. In other words, go even bigger. It's like some of you might be saying like, oh, I'd love to travel. Maybe once a year. Yeah, it would be really nice to travel once a year to Europe. Like literally double it. What about traveling twice a year to Europe? You'll be like, no, because I want to be able to travel other places too. Okay, great. But then you're gonna be like, oh wow, I want to travel every quarter. I can do that? Yeah, you can. Nothing is off the table here. And all of those voices are saying, this is not possible. You're not worth it. How am I going to do it? Nobody else in my family was able to do it. Please prove it to me that this is possible. I want you to say, shut the fuck up to those voices right now. Let me dream. Shut the fuck up and let me dream. Because anything that you can dream, you can do. I'm living proof of that, and so are many of our clients who are going to be sharing more about the dreams that they're creating soon in a new part of our website that we're going to call 100 True Stories of Tech Career Transformation. There is nothing that any client can tell me that I'm going to say, oh, that's not possible now. No way, that's dreaming too big. Nothing is too big. I know you're dreaming too small right now. I know that, so go bigger. Question 7, why do I want all of this? Now that we've defined what you want, now we ask why. I find that doing it in this order actually helps a lot because first, if you were to start with, well, why do I want my dream career? Like, well, what are we talking about here? Like, what is my dream? So now that we've defined it, now, why do I want all of this? What's your big why? Or maybe you have 3 or 5 or 10 big whys. Yeah, write them down, capture them. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's your devotion to creating a legacy. Maybe it's being a light of inspiration for others and being able to show them that this is possible. Maybe even part of it, which could be absolutely correct for some of you, is to prove it to someone that you can. Maybe it's your mom, your dad, or someone else who was like, oh, that's not possible. Can't do that. When somebody says that to me, and it's something I want, that gives me even more juice. That gives me even more juice to want to do it. And yeah, there is part of me that's like, proved you wrong. Proved you wrong. I would never say that to them unless I had the relationship where I can do that in a joking way and they knew that I wasn't demeaning or belittling them. I never mean to intentionally demean or belittle someone even when I'm dealing with narcissistic assholes. But that's beside the point. What's your big why? And notice how this is often, but not always, about some larger purpose. I'm wearing my t-shirt for those of you that are just listening that says live on purpose. It's part of some larger purpose that's connected to others. That's connected to the why am I here? Why am I living this life right now in this body? What am I so grateful for? Like when I go to bed at night and I say, oh my God, I love my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful for this. What's just behind that? Like, I'm so grateful for these experiences and inspiring others to do so. Like, that's what it is for me. That's why our mission at the People Stack is to help tech leaders to build your dream careers. Because I don't want to just prove that it's possible. I want you to live it too, to be a living proof that it's possible. This isn't about the right or wrong game that, yeah, it's possible to go live your dream and move to Hawaii and build a multi-million-dollar business and have, and do it in 20 hours a week, which is what we've done. And like, it's not just about proving that we can do it. It's about living that dream and being an example for others. And that's what our clients are. They're examples for others, those of you who have worked with us. You're shining a light on what's possible. So it's not about proving. It's not about right or wrong. It's about I am actually living my dream, and OMG, how delightful is that? And it's just so freaking delightful that it actually sometimes physically hurts me that other people aren't doing the same. It's that level of like, come on, live your dream, folks. That's why we're here. That's my purpose. That's what's behind when I go to bed at night and I'm like, I'm so grateful. I am so freaking grateful for being able to live this life. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the challenges. Thank you for the prosperity and the love and the light and the joy and all of it. So there's your 7 questions. I'll recap them once more. These are the 7 questions to ask yourself to define your dream career. Number 1, what valuable outcomes am I devoted to creating? Number 2, what are my top 3 values as a leader? Number 3, what is my zone of genius? Number 4, what work environment affords delight for me? Examples include the people I work with, the industry, the culture, the benefits, the perks. Number 5, what salary gives me goosebumps? Number 6, what lifestyle fills me with delight and goosebumps? And number 7, why do I want all of this? Ask yourself these 7 questions. Take your time with it. Have fun with it. Feel for the whole body yes in all of those answers, and you will come out the other side having crystal clarity, expansive clarity, delightful clarity about what you want in your career. And for those of you who want to go on the heart-opening, soul-expanding, mind-blowing, sometimes uncomfortable, but yet totally just living on purpose level of building your dream career, our fall cohort of PeopleStack Accelerator begins September 12th, and the application deadline is September 10th. So make sure you apply soon so that you can start working with us if this is something that you've been wanting to do for a while. All of the details are on our website about what it is. There's client testimonials there. The pricing is there. The structure of the program is there. There's even some FAQs. And if you have any more questions about it, you can shoot me an email. So go to thepeoplestack.com/accelerator right now to apply for our fall cohort of PeopleStack Accelerator. That's thepeoplestack.com/accelerator. Be sure to apply before September 10th so that you can join our fall cohort. All right, guys, live on purpose, live your dream. First, you must define it. Take care.